Hello, everybody. Welcome to Womanhood Wednesday. I am Tracy Byerly, and I help women to create a confident, prosperous attitude about growing older so they can master the art of aging unapologetically. Yesterday, I got caught off guard, but I was operating in my full confidence of being. No makeup, hair crazy, and yes, there's a noise at the door. Just ignore Sasha. Y'all know how she does. Anyway, today we got out cute. And what's even more amazing is I have a special guest, and she's just as cute. Her name is Dr. Andrea Palmer, and I'm going to give you her bio. She is an Oklahoma native turned Texan in 2016 when her family moved to Fort Worth. Growing up the granddaughter and niece of surgeons, her decision to become a physician came early in life. Having wonderful, strong female role models, yes, throughout her life has given her a passion for working with and caring for women, making obstetrics and gynecology a natural career for her. She has a true love for obstetrics and operating. She cherishes sharing the experience of pregnancies and the joy of bringing life to a family. She also enjoys the ability to care for her patients throughout all stages of life. Gynecology allows her the opportunity to have that continuity of care from adolescence to menopause. She has a special interest in robotic surgery and has attended several advanced training programs with the Da Vinci surgical system, and she's privileged to help other surgeons master that technique. Telling y'all, we have a special woman in our midst. She strives to educate her patients and establish a trusting, lasting relationship. The more she knows about their health, histories, and families and personal preferences, the better she can care for them. She graduated magna cum laude from University of Oklahoma and attended medical school and residency at OU Health Sciences Center, where she served as chief resident. She practiced in Oklahoma City at Lakeside Women's Hospital, where she served as chief of staff for 7 years before moving to the great state of Texas. She is married to another busy physician, and they have two school age children. She now practices with Phenom Women's Center at Baylor's All Saints in Fort Worth, Texas. Great big warm welcome to our Dr. Andrea Palmer. Yay. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. So tell us a fun fact about you.
Fun fact about me. I heard you're Sasha when you first got on. I have two noisy puppies and one very, very old kitty cat myself. So my cat Sassy is she'll be 17 in April, so she's an old girl. And then we have two poodles who are both pandemic puppy purchases, named Rico and Kowalski from the Penguins of Madagascar fame. That's where their names came from. And so you may hear them chime in as as we go. And a not so fun fact, Kowalski, the youngest one, has now ate his second sock and required his second surgery to extract said sock from his small intestine. So he's rocking the cone of shame if he goes through the background. You'll see
Poor
him.
baby.
Stop eating socks. Like just
No moral of the story.
yeah.
Oh, yours eats socks and ours eats zippers. Imagine that.
I don't know, like, ew, stop it. Yeah, eat the food.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. So we are going to jump right in because as you and I have talked about, and I love what you're going to be talking about, the holidays.
Yes.
Sometimes we're just
I was listening to the podcast when I was driving this weekend, home from visiting on Thanksgiving, and somebody said, it's the most wonderful time of the year, but it's kind of just the most time of the year. There's so much going on there. There's there's the work parties and the social things and the school things and the shopping and the thing. And I think as women, at least most of my friends and my experience is that we do the bulk of the things. My husband does not buy his parents Christmas presents. That's me. And my mother-in-law knows this, so it's okay if she hears. But I think that the burden of making the holidays happy and everything cheery and merry and decorated and pretty and wrapped and like that's on us. In addition to the full life that we live when it's not December. So it's definitely, I think, a stressful time of year for a lot of people.
Yes. Yes, yes. So let's just get straight into this. Inquiring minds want to know, where do hormones come in all of this? What's up with hormone checking?
Yes. So pardon me, this is a conversation that I have, multiple times a day in my clinic. People come in and they go, I think I need my hormones checked. And I go, well, why do you think you need your hormones checked? And she's like, well, my husband suggested that I do it because he's noticed my libido is not as good lately, or that I seem cranky lately, or that I'm tired, or I've noticed I've gained weight and I don't like how I feel. I'm not energetic. And as women, society has taught us that this is, some internal problem of ours that for some reason, men don't seem to have to come to grips with. And so it must be our hormones, because that's what makes us different from men, that it is something innate within us that we should be able to fix. And so our hormones are the things, and we are going to, check our hormones and fix our hormones. And, it's kind of a pseudo-natural thought process, because, you think back to when you were 20, you had all the energy in the world and all the time in the world and all the sex drive in the world, and you could eat a cheeseburger and not worry about it. And carbs were not a bad thing. They were your friend. They helped carry your hangover, like that was so our bodies, we think back to a time when we maybe felt more confident or more energetic or better within our skin. And we tend to think about times maybe when we were younger, and we go, well, what's changed between then and now? Well, our hormones are different, because maybe we're in our 40s and menopause, we know, is kind of right around the corner. And we know from a medical standpoint that perimenopausal changes, we're talking metabolism, we're talking hot flashes, night sweats, we're talking changes in our menstrual cycle, changes in our hair, changes in our skin. All of these things can start happening up to 5 to 10 years for some women before your period goes away. So this is not, menopause isn't a light switch. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And that journey has, a lot of variations in it, and it can happen over a long span of time. And so the question of, are your hormones like out of whack? I don't know that they're so much out of whack, but they are changing. So hormone checking, the thing that I want to caution so many people about is, if you go to, one of these like specialty hormone clinics where they are making you pay cash only for your lab work and your medications and your pellets and your injections, a snapshot in time of your hormones is not helpful if you are somebody who's still having periods. So if you're of an age where your ovaries are still ovulating, and I check your hormones 3 days after you start your period, they are going to look drastically different than if I check them 21 days after your period, because ovulation happens in the middle. The beginning of our cycle is dominated by estrogen. So I'll have women come in and they go, well, they told me I was estrogen dominant, so I need progesterone. Well, did they check your labs on day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of your period? Yeah, oh, yes, they did. You're supposed to be estrogen dominant. That's the way your body works. And on the reverse of that, if they check it after ovulation, they go, oh, I am progesterone heavy, I don't have enough estrogen. Well, because they checked it at a time when your estrogen is naturally low and your progesterone is naturally high. So a lot of those clinics don't take into account the normal rhythm of your menstrual cycle. And so a spot check of hormones is completely useless. If you are officially menopaused, if you haven't had a period in 2 years, I don't need to check your hormones because I know what they are. Zero. They are they're not there. And so making you take an expensive blood test to tell me that your estrogen levels are low, well, I know they're low because you don't have periods anymore. And your ovaries are not working to the levels that they worked at before you had periods. So just be leery of somebody who's wanting to run millions of dollars checking your estrogen and your progesterone, because a spot test is pretty meaningless for the things that we're talking about now. And if you are past menopause, I can tell you what they are. They're low. And that's part of why you feel the way that you feel. Now, hormones that are worth checking from a medical standpoint in the perimenopausal period, it's worthwhile to have your thyroid checked. It's worthwhile to get screened for diabetes. Those are things that can make us feel physically bad if they're, if our blood sugar levels are consistently high, if our thyroid is over or under functioning, that makes us feel not good. And so those like medical screenings are hormones that are worthwhile to check for sure.
Yeah.
But otherwise, with hormones, when we talk about things like hot flashes and night sweats, those are things that hormones fix. When we talk about energy and libido and self-worth and self-confidence, that there's so much more that goes into it than just your hormones.
Whew.
Right?
That is worth everything right there, ladies. Send your checks to Dr. Andrea Palmer. That was awesome. Self-care and hormones, because you hit on something. There's a difference between what's going on within us and then also what's in us that we can, in a lot of ways, control.
Right.
Talk to us about this, not ignoring self-care and hormones.
Right. So when we talk about the complaints that women come in because their spouses told them to ask about it, things like libido, things like moodiness or crankiness, I often go to asking my patients, what do they do for themselves, right? When was the last time you did something for you? When is the last time you got a massage, took a walk, worked out, read a book, sat down? What I alluded to earlier, that we are the doer of all the things. And again, the holidays just intensifies that for so many of us. The pressure and the need to constantly pour yourself out into other people is a burden that so many of us bear. And so if you never take time to fill your own cup, if you don't put your own oxygen mask on first, you can't help the rest of the plane, right?
Yes.
So taking time for self-care, and however that looks for you, because it looks different for everybody, right?
Yes.
Walking is my very favorite thing to do for my personal self-care. It's my personal alone in my mind therapy time. It gets my heart rate up, it gets me vitamin D, it burns my calories, it closes my rings. That to me is like my favorite form of self-care. If I'm stressed, if I'm tired, if I am mad, if I'm sad, I want to go on a walk, and I'll leash up the pups and we'll go take out and we'll pound the pavement for a few miles. And that is like my ultimate self-care, second to a massage, because let's be honest, like it just feels really good for have someone rub all those knots out. But if you don't take time to do self-care, if you don't take time to help yourself, you're never going to be able to give wholeheartedly to other people. And so if you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of all of the others with the best of your efforts, the best of your strength. If you don't have any time for yourself, you don't want to give it to your husband. If you don't take time to feel good within yourself, you don't want to take your clothes off for anybody. So much of what we're able to give to other people and what is expected of us from other people has to be countered with taking time to really fulfill ourselves and to find that time to nurture what makes us charge up, what makes us feel good. Because otherwise we're running on empty all day long.
Which is rough. I can hear someone asking the question, okay, what can I do that's self-care related that will help me and my hormones?
Mhm. So exercise is a great one. We know that endorphins are such a powerful hormone, right? They make us feel good. They make us feel strong. They help with depression. They help with anxiety. So exercise is probably my number one recommendation. And while I love walking, that's not really all that you need to do. I think one of the most important things metabolically and hormonally as we transition through our 40s and into menopause is lifting weights. I am a huge fan of building muscle mass because muscle mass is going to help improve our metabolism. It's going to help those hormones in our body, the cortisol and the leptin, and all of those things that help to drive our appetite and to change our metabolism. When we have strong muscle mass, we are going to be more metabolically fit. And so, the number one self-care thing that you can do to benefit your hormones is exercise, and number two is sleep. Yeah, so good sleep is so important. These magic little boxes that we're all looking at right now are probably the number one disruptor of our sleep cycles. And so when I have patients who come in, and insomnia is a pretty common feature of menopause for a lot of women. For some, it's like a night sweat issue, so like they go to bed, but then they wake up sweating and they have to change the sheets and change their jammies and, do all these things. And that's definitely a disruptor. But for so many people, it's, I can't turn this off. The mental machine that just keeps me, the to-do list that's never done. So there's a lot of strategies that you can do to help yourself get good sleep. First and foremost, ditch your screen to at least 2 hours before bedtime. So no phone, no Facebook, no the doom scrolling. You got to stop that. You have to put down that magic little bright box that turns on that, the activation centers of your brain to tell you to pay attention. So ditch your screens. I love meditation before bedtime. I love my friend Robin Smith, who's an exercise coach and a life coach of sorts. She talks about a brain dump right before bed. If you have this like laundry list of things that you just can't get out of your mind, write it down so that you can like physically get it out of your mind and onto paper so that you know that you're not going to forget about it tomorrow. And read a book, set yourself a bedtime routine, just like you did for your kids when they were babies, right? Like, how do they know it was bedtime? Well, you started the bath water, and then you did that, then you lotioned up, and then you rocked and read a book, and then you went to bed. And that's how they knew that it was like time to wind down and sleep. Well, create the same kind of thing for yourself. But the screens are the biggest part that it's, I think, hard for us to break. We've gotten so used to them.
Oh my goodness. Great advice. Stuff that the bedtime routine, I am training, not just trying, I'm training. So thank you for putting that out there. Yes, and the weightlifting. Oh, that is amazing. Change, the change. All about the change.
All
Change
about
is
it.
necessary. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so there's only two options, right? You get older, you don't. And I think we would all that I mean, like there's not an option C. It's that you continue to turn the years over or that you don't. And of course with that, our bodies change because nothing stays the same. That is just a constant of life. And so from a hormonal standpoint, again, we talk about the effects of hot flashes and night sweats, and those are kind of, I call them like the hallmark symptoms, right? Not in like that they're the paramount symptoms, but they're like on the hallmark cards, that they talk about. Everybody talks about hot flashes and night sweats, and that's kind of the comedic thing that gets in the sitcoms, and so that's the things that people talk about menopause. And of course, those can be miserable and debilitating for some women. To treat those, there's pharmacologic options, there's herbal options, there's lifestyle options. Things like alcohol can make night sweats worse for a lot of people. So, if you have your glass of wine or two before bed, your night sweats may be worse in those circumstances. For some people, not for everybody. Right?
Just shot a hole in a whole bunch of people.
Right?
Saying,
I know. all the good things in life, right? But, and again, for some people it makes a difference, for some people it doesn't, but you play around with these kind of things. And again, if you're miserable, come talk to your OBGYN. We have lots of things that can help. I know you, Tracy, you turned me on to maca, right?
Red Root.
Yes. And so
Uh-huh.
there's a bunch of different things out there, some that you can find at Target, some that you can find online, that really can help from an herbal standpoint for symptoms for a lot of women who don't want to go the traditional pharmacologic route. One plug I want to put out there.
Please.
This is the symptom that nobody talks about. Everybody's vagina is going to turn on them in menopause at some time.
Oh, go there, girl. Go
right?
there.
So not everybody will night sweat, not everybody will hot flash, but everybody's vagina is going to get dry at some point in time. Again, for some women, it's not a big deal. They get a little lubricant for intercourse. They use the over-the-counter little, Replens, inserts and things like that, and they're fine. But for some women, it is to the point that they can't be intimate with their partner. They're uncomfortable sitting just on a daily basis. So if that is you, do not suffer, because there are oodles of treatments that are safe, that are local hormone, that are not systemic things. If you're scared of hormone replacement therapy, like, do not fear. But that is the symptom that more often than not, people go, well, I didn't really know that you could fix it. I didn't know that this was a thing that happened to other people. I thought this was just me. But everybody's vagina will turn on them, but it just matters how symptomatic it is to you. But please, 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 please don't be afraid to talk to a gynecologist about this, because again, that's what we do all day. But we like happy vaginas. We like you to be able to use it if you want to use it. And for some people in menopause, that just begins to be a really bad problem. So,
First of all, I think we talked about that before. Not being afraid to say vagina, vagina. Womanhood Wednesday. This is what
that's right.
Thank you for blowing that out of the water, because I know holidays supposed to be a time of love, a time
That's
of
right.
release, but oh, my vagina. So y'all, that wasn't even planned. So I thank you for going there. Our women need to hear this, and I'm so glad that you went there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, there is this stigma about talking about vaginas with your friends or in public, and for me, of course, this is it's what I say all day long. But I think that we need to continue efforts to destigmatize the female body.
Yes.
In general,
Yes.
and specifically the female genitals. Like, they're not bad words, they're not dirty, they're not anything but a body part. It's like your elbow or your nose. And so I'm a huge believer in using the words, and also teaching your kids and your grandkids the words. Don't call it a hoo-ha or a
Booty cat.
yeah, we have vulvas and we have vaginas and we have penises, and so, like, let's use those terms appropriately. Kids who know the appropriate terms are statistically less likely to be victims of sexual abuse. Teach them the words.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a tangent. Sorry.
Look, that's another subject we're going to have another day. Just, I think, no, we are not walking vaginas. I think sometimes that's what society thinks about us. But just seeing that it's not a bad word. So I don't know. We might have to talk.
Just have a vagina hour.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, what I'm going to do is put the screen on you, and also I am going to put up Dr. Palmer's information where you can reach out to her. She is part of the community, and we'll put up her information. So I'm going to disappear. Wait, let me put you up. And then I'm going to disappear. Please give last words.
Thank you again, Tracy, so much for having me today. It's such an honor to talk with you, and I'm so excited to be part of this community. What I want to say to everybody out there is just to remember that you, as a whole entire human being person, matter. And we are more than our roles, we are more than our jobs, we are more than moms and sisters and wives and daughters and teachers and nurses and doctors. Like, we are more than the titles assigned to us. And during these busy times, during the holidays, again, it's so easy to get caught up in the task mastering and the present buying and the long laundry list of doing for others, that just please remember to take time to do for yourself. And if you are like, yeah, but I don't know what self-care is for me, then that's your assignment. You need to figure out what it is that fills your soul. Whether it is, again, reading a book, take a bath, whatever time, or lunch with girlfriends, whatever it can be that gives you an opportunity to fill your own cup before you go and help out others in the world. Take that time for you, because without that fulfillment, we cannot be of service to others. And I think service speaks to so many of us, but we have to serve ourselves first. And so please find what fuels you, dedicate time, enlist the people in your life to make sure that you get that time as well. You know, spouse, I need you to cover XYZ because I'm going to go do this for me today. Kids, I need you to leave mom alone for 30 minutes. I'm going to do yoga. Like, whatever it is, enlist those people in your life. Make them understand and know that you are valuable, that you deserve this time for yourself, and that when you do that, it makes you better at all the other things that you do. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you again, Tracy, and you guys have a happy holiday.
Amazing. All right. So if you're catching the recording of this, please type in the comments hashtag replay. And if you have any questions and you're not shy, you can put them in the comments as well too. And Dr. Andrea can answer them there, or again, take a snapshot, get her information here, and stay tuned for next week. True to You Tuesdays, 1:30 in the afternoon, Central Time. Until then, smooches.